Hello friends, my name is Kamlesh Rajpal, Raj for short, and in this video we're going to discuss Singapore as a property investment destination. We'll look at certain facts and see why Singapore is a very viable destination for property investment and why the people world over are preferring it. So let's get started. First, let me introduce myself to you. Hi, welcome. I'm Raj, and I have been in Singapore for last 17 years, and I work as a realtor in Singapore, so as a property agent, and I'll be guiding you through in this video about why Singapore is a fantastic destination for investment and how your investment can actually grow over the years. Why is it better than other countries? Let me show you. So before we even start, I have a question for you. Are you a citizen of any of these 5 countries? Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland, or USA? If your answer is yes, oh boy, I'm excited to talk to you. You make 150,000 Singapore dollars straight off just because you are citizen of one of these countries, and this special privilege is extended only to you because of you being citizen of one of these countries. Citizens of these countries are treated same as citizens of Singapore under the free trade agreement that Singapore government has with the governments of these countries, and because of which nationals of these countries do not need to pay 15% of tax stamp duty that is actually levied on every other foreigner. So foreigners have to pay 15% of stamp duty except citizens of these 5 countries. So on a $1 million property, you save $150,000 straight off. So you make that money even if the property price does not rise by a single dollar, just because you're the national of one of these countries. So let me show you straight away from the IRA's website. So here we are at iras.gov.sg, which is Singapore Government Income Tax and Revenue Department, and you see that foreigners eligible for additional buyer stamp duty remission under free trade agreement under the respective FTAs, nationals or permanent residents of following countries will be accorded the same treatment as Singapore citizens. And even if you are a PR or national citizen of any of these countries, boy, you have 150k. We should talk immediately. So you can scroll right to the end of this slide, this video, and drop me an email, and we should get started talking. You have such a huge advantage as compared to anybody, all the other foreigners, that you have no reason to wait. You should get started. So let me show you the other benefits now that you have for Singapore as a property destination. First, we look at some statistics to understand. This is the graph of Singapore property market over the last 40 years, and you see I plotted this from 1975 up to 2014, and you can see that overall the property market has grown. So as you know that from 2000 until now 2016, we have seen 3 to 4 cycles. Actually 1997 was first economic slowdown cycle, financial crisis cycle, and then was 2001 we had a dot-com bubble burst. 2005 and 6 we had another recession. 2008 was a major disruption to the world economy by Lehman Brothers and the whole US subprime crisis. And as you can see that the property market reacted at each of these events, and there was a fall, there was a sharp fall. But over the last 25 years, 30 years, it has been constantly growing. So if you take this graph further from 2014 until 2015 and 16, you will see that it has come down a bit. And then it is stabilized. It is flat from there. And why it is like that? Because in 2011-2012 the market boomed a lot, and the Singapore government saw a need to actually put some cooling measures to cool down the market. So they came out with a lot of rules and cooling measures so that we don't have a bubble here, and then we are able to actually have a sustainable property market at the right pricing. So the cooling measures have worked very well so far, and one of the biggest one is that every Singaporean, the local, is only allowed to buy 2 properties. So let's see further that an investor wants a safe haven for his investment, and in the longer term he wants growth. So Singapore provides that safe haven and growth due to the below factors, right? Let's look at the factors one by one. So one is limited land supply. So Singapore is a small island, and the land is limited. Hence you only have this much of land to build new projects, new buildings, and you have to do away with older buildings if you really need to reclaim it. So although there have been reclamation of land where Singapore government actually put sand in the sea and created an extension of the island, but however the fact remains that land is scarce, and because of this land scarcity, usually if you look at places like these, Singapore, Mumbai in India, the property price will keep growing up. One of the factors is land scarcity. The second factor is very strong governance. So this is known worldwide that Singapore government has extremely strong governance because it has the same political party for the last 51 years, and there are 2 or 3 parties in total, but only this party has won the elections all through, and this has given a rock solid growth platform to Singapore because it being the same party, and you don't have to explain a lot of things to opposition parties, and don't have people to bring you down like you can see in other countries like India, Malaysia. The politics actually prevents the country's progress at a speed that it should be. In Singapore, because of this strong governance, the government actually decides a policy and immediately implements it, and it creates a very progressive and growth oriented environment. It gives a lot of stability, and all of these factors are good for property price appreciation. The next thing here is that Singapore depends on a large part on foreigners. And that is because Singapore lacks natural resources. So you don't have mining in Singapore, you don't have agriculture, so it doesn't have any natural resources. So it has to depend on services and sort of manufacturing of semiconductors, etc., to support its growth. So for doing those jobs, you need a lot of foreigners who come in, and especially in the IT, information technology, and finance and banking domain. And this is so strong that foreigners who come in work about 5 to 7 years before they get a permanent residence, and they have to wait for 3 years after they get the permanent residence. So it's about 10 to 12 years before they are even eligible to buy a property. That gives a very strong, nice, long window where these foreigners have to then rent properties and stay on rent, and that gives a very strong rental market. So this is a very good factor for a property investor. Now, as long as the number of foreigners in Singapore keep growing, which the government has announced publicly that they'll bring in 100,000 foreigners every year from now to 2021, and beyond, they will still have to continue. So they want to slowly increase the growth of the population of foreigners who are very productive and supportive for the economy. So the other thing here is that Singapore is one of the top city of opportunity in the world. So people prefer to live and work here because of very strong governance, because of e-government and e-banking environments where you do not need to go to the bank or government offices to get your work done, and everything is online, and you can have stuff done on your PC or mobiles. So it gives you a sort of lifestyle. It upgrades your lifestyle in that context, and then people like to live in a country where you don't have to waste your time and effort for such everyday things. So nevertheless, Singapore gives a top lifestyle available to a common man, and that is one of the huge pulling factors why people prefer to live and work here. There is very strong local demand for property, so good projects that are built in Singapore are sold 70% over 2 to 3 weekends, so that fast. So locals in Singapore are quite rich and very interested in using property as an investment vehicle, and hence if a good project comes up with the right pricing, 65-70% of the whole project is snapped up by local Singapore citizens, and they have a huge appetite for property purchase. So this creates a very good demand for property. The second factor here is Singaporeans enjoy one of the highest per capita income in the world, and hence it is affordable for them. So because of this demand, the property price will maintain itself. It won't go down so fast, and it is not dependent on foreigners for the property price. The final factor we look at is the Singapore dollar that has enjoyed sustained growth against a basket of currencies. So when a country's dollar when I first came to Singapore, one Sing dollar was equal to 25 Indian rupees, and today it is equal to about 50 Indian rupees about last month, and now it's like 47.6. But that has doubled in last 16-17 years. And not only India, you see that today, if you talk about Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, then Singapore dollar is at par with each of them. It's about 90 cents for Canadian, Australian, and 95 cents in New Zealand dollar. So it's at par. So when a country's dollar grows strong with a few other currencies in the world, a few other countries, then that means that this country is showing strong growth potential, is actually growing. Only then the money and the currency value will grow. So looking at those factors, there are other things that bring Singapore property market into limelight and create a huge demand. Singapore education is one of the top in the world. So people who are rich, people who are affluent, they want their kids to study here, live here, have a good lifestyle. They themselves want to live here. Even there are many Europeans, Americans who come and live in Singapore, and in the recent years, Europe has gone through a turmoil, so things are pretty bad, and these Europeans find a very good lifestyle in Singapore. So a lot of them have actually flocked to Singapore shores, and all of these people stay on rent. So that gives a very strong rental market for a property investor. And Singapore is eyeing to be the top medical hub of Asia. Now, let me explain this. When they say top medical hub, they do not mean in terms of medical facilities or people coming here to cure the diseases or what. They mean a overall medical hub where they are actually creating a whole consortium of services where researchers will come to do research in medicine, scientists will come to do research, a lot of students will come to learn medicine and become doctors. So students come from different countries to Singapore to learn, and then you will also have top of the world medical facilities which will invite patients who will come in. So medical tourism is on the rise, and it's going to boom once this medical hub is ready. So this itself brings in a lot more many people to Singapore for different reasons in the medical arena, and all of these crowd will need place to stay. So rental demand is supported by this. Finally, we look at Singapore is ranked as top global information technology. So a country which actually implements information technology very high. We have fiber broadband in our homes. We run at 1 Gbps at home. We have true 4G networks running on mobiles, and we have one of the highest penetration of mobile technologies in the world. It's 150%. So that means for every 100 people, we have 150 mobile devices, which is iPads and mobiles. So this is very high. So the country and the government invests a lot of money and effort, and sees a lot of potential with technology and how it can be used. So when you have a highly connected country, very technologically oriented, very growth oriented, then obviously people want to live and work there and have a good life. Singapore has very straightforward rules on money going in and out of country. So you don't have corruption in Singapore. You don't need to pay bribes to government officers or other public servants, and everything is e-governance. You don't even meet the person actually, you just submit your things online. So this actually makes life very straightforward, where you just bother about earning your money and spending it and looking at your long-term future and growth. You don't need to worry about terrorism. You don't need to worry about hooligans beating you up on street when you come home late night, or you don't have other funny things in Singapore. So it makes it a very safe place to stay. Singapore people enjoy complete e-governance and e-banking. I have spoken about this, and it's ranked as world's top country in ease of doing business. So for the past few years, Singapore has been winning the #1 place in this category. So it's very pro business, where it's very easy to start up companies, run the companies. The tax structure is very clean, neat, straightforward. There's only one tax you have to pay. You just pay a property tax, you just pay a corporate tax, and you just pay a goods and services tax, and that's about it. So it's unlike other countries like Australia, US, India, where you have many different type of taxations, and it gets very confusing. You need a chartered accountant and stuff like this. So businesses who grow and businesses prefer to keep their head offices in Singapore because it simplifies the overall business practice. Finally, Singapore has a very clear-cut government-supported plan of growth chalked out until 2030. So I have yet to see another country where for the next 15 years you have such detailed, micro-planned growth and implementation of things planned. So this is very well chalked out. So this gives a very good foray for people to see what is coming in future, how they can be part of it, and involve in that growth and grow together. And the final very good point for investor is Singapore has zero capital gains tax, which means that if you invest in property and you make a profit of $200,000, then you pay absolutely $0 as tax to the government for this 200,000. This is such a big plus compared to other countries like Australia, India, London, US. You have to pay capital gains tax. So it's very easy to move your money. Your profit stays in your bank account. You can withdraw that. You can send it out to another country. Nobody is going to ask you any questions, unlike other countries where you can't withdraw your own money beyond a given limit and stuff like this. So this is what makes it a investor's heaven. So overall, all of these factors together make it a desired destination for educated and affluent business people to live, stay, and invest. Now, this is the other wow factor for an investor, where home loans in Singapore are only at 2% per annum, which is one of the lowest in the world. So the rent that you actually get when you rent your property is also about 2 to 2.5% per annum, which gives rise to a very beautiful equation that once you have paid the down payment and you have purchased your home and you rented this out, the rent is equal to paying your monthly installments of loan. So you do not have to pay anything beyond that point. And this makes it so fantastic because for the next 20-25 years, the tenant will pay your monthly installment and you will have a fully paid free property after 20-25 years. So consider now you are 40 years old and after 25 years you are 65. So at 65 you invested 250k 300k in buying a property which was $1.2 million when you purchased, or $1 million when you purchased, and after 25 years this property becomes $2 million and it is fully paid by a tenant. So you do not need to invest anything more than the first 300k that you put in, And when you are 65 years old, you have $2 million of property which you can sell, and you have hard cold cash. You pay zero tax on this money that you have earned over the years in the property. And now even if you spend 1 million of that 2 million towards your retirement, towards going for a world trip a few times and living until the last part of your life, you still have another 1 million that you can leave off for your family, for your kids. So they start off their life as a millionaire. So this is the equation that is actually getting a lot of affluent, wealthy business people or investors to come and purchase properties in Singapore. So much so that by 2011, 2012, that boomed the property market so much that in 2013, government had to come out with a series of cooling measures to stop people from investing heavily and making a property bubble that can actually burst. But if you look at this planning, this was the whole planning and is the whole planning of these affluent businessmen, that they want their children to study in such a country. They want their children to start their life at more than $1 million. They have enough for their retirement just by owning one property in the country. And that makes it fantastic, isn't it? So this is the whole power of investing in Singapore. And the only risk factor here is that if this property is not rented out for a few months, you need to pay the monthly installment. Now there are ways that we actually take care of this by putting in 30, 40, 50K in the bank account to take care of those months. And that also acts as a forced saving. But overall, that is not a deterrent factor for somebody to invest, looking at zero property gain tax, 2% per annum of home loan rates. The rentals are so high, the number of foreigners coming in is at a continuous rise, and the country growth is so promising. So all these factors put together create an awesome environment for investment. So the next step now would be, we have come to the end of the video. The next step would be that you actually get connected with me, you share your goals. We get into communication. You ask me whatever you need to ask over the email. I put my email here, and from there I have a very detailed video which is 1 hour plus, which explains a lot of these factors that I told you and even more. Along with a lot of data, I show you actual data from the Singapore government and other agencies, where you can see step by step why it is so safe and sound, and there is a surety of growth potential for your investment, that you get completely ready to invest in Singapore. And then we take it up from there. So I invite you to send me your questions. There is some small news here, which is the best part, that you actually pay me $0 in commission if you buy anything in 2017. And that is because over the last 2 years, the market has been slow, the economy is gloomy, and hence developers are willing to pay us commissions, pay commissions to property agents. So we are not charging our clients. So you actually save 10-15,000 straight out on the commission that you would otherwise pay to a property agent. In Singapore, you're only allowed to take commission from one party. So since we are taking the commission from the developer or the seller already, then we do not need to charge commission to the buyer. Of course, if the market recovers and they stop paying us, then we will need to charge the buyer. So this may change by the end of 2017, but at least as of now, this remains that you save that bit of money. So call me and let's get started. Hey, there is one last question that I would like to address. I did not want to bring this up, but this question is quite common and I am asked this many times. So I thought might as well answer it. People do ask me that if we purchase a property in Singapore and, you know, for God forbid, the owner dies or has premature death due to whatever reason, what happens to the property now and the property loan, right? If I tell you that there is a method that this loan now gets fully paid on the demise of the owner, so you do not need to pay monthly installments anymore, will that not be fantastic? So this is such an awesome thing that is not available in any other country or other countries, and it's available in Singapore, that one should make every bit of effort to invest in Singapore and get these advantages. And also what happens is that now once the person has demise and the property is fully paid, you do not need to pay the monthly installments, and now the family, the loved ones, can actually decide to sell this property and get 1.2 million, 1 million, 1.4 million as cash and live off this money, or they can continue to rent out the property and get the $2, 3, 4,000 per month of rental and live off the rental both ways. So it kind of secures the family. So it's such an awesome thing that we should definitely take advantage of this. So drop me an email to ask me more questions if you have, and I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and I hope this has clarified a lot of doubts that you might have, and it would have given you some clear direction and interest to progress in this direction. So I can actually give you financial details and other stuff. Write a like in the comments of this video, and you can subscribe to my channel so you can get future videos that I'm going to put about property in my channel, and then you will be updated. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks and have a good day. Bye bye. Signing off, Raj.